Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's segment. This is Financial Strategies Creating Generational Wealth. I am Leah Everly, a life insurance agent and South Carolina Commission Notary Public. Today, I will be discussing with you how to grow your money. I want to kind of uh, bring your attention over to this little book that I've added to this slide. It's on the left. It's called Think and Grow Rich. It's by Napoleon Hill. This is one of the books that I strongly recommend at your free leisure. You take the time to purchase off of Amazon and read it. You know, whether you do a hard copy or do a Kindle, whatever the case may be. For today's agenda, I will go over briefly who I am, why I do what I do, my reasons why, the strategies to growing your money, the banking system, brokerage accounts, understanding the rule of 72 and compound interest, money market savings versus cash value accounts, DBAs, which is doing business as, and LLCs, which are limited liability corporations. Then I'll also be discussing various investments and some tax advantages, such as the IRS code 7702, your HSAs, your 529s, 401ks, and 403bs. And then we will conclude today's segment. Well, I am a currently full-time radiology technologist. I've been a radiology technologist since 2001. Worked in the field for 23 years. Currently in the field of CT, or people know that as a CAT scan. Back in, I want to say September of 2024, I realized I'm a little bit on the tired side. I wanted to branch out and do something a little bit different with my career, something that I felt will help me retire out of the healthcare field early and still makes a substantial amount of money that I can still provide for my family, still grow with my family, and yet enjoy life. So I decided to become a notary public, and again, that was in September 2024. I created um, rose gold signatures, and later on, I became a life insurance agent and in October of 2024. So the game plan is to eventually retire out of being a healthcare professional, doing the CT scans and radiology, and doing financial coaching and with my notary and with my life insurance license full time until I just retire completely and pass the baton to one of my kids. So this is my reason why. And if you notice, this beautiful little boy coming to the forefront with my daughter. She is my oldest. This is my oldest grandson. Oh my gosh, they look like twins in this picture. Such a sweet baby. And then here's my youngest daughter with her oldest daughter, my oldest granddaughter, and my youngest grandson. And what you don't see is there's a little bun in the oven. Ariel, who was born in April. Here she goes, my little bundle. She's the newest member of the family. So I have two granddaughters and two grandsons by my two beautiful daughters. And then here I have my beloved. We are have been together for several years. We've known each other since we were kids. I love this man. He's been a pleasant part of my life, and we have so many dreams and futuristic goals together. And in this particular picture, we were actually at a Orlando Magic versus Miami Heat game. First time ever being to an NBA game, both of us. So it was exciting. And we were in one of those private suites. gave us food and drink. We were surrounded by great company, given the VIP experience. It was a wonderful, wonderful time. And I look forward to so many more with this wonderful man. And then my sister, my business partner, my yin and my yang. She's my yang. Anyway, she is the person I go to for tax professional services. She is the one I defer all my clients to. They love her, by the way. I think they love her more than they love me. Cause she's the one that gives you the money in your bank account. She helps you get all the taxes that you can get back. She's helping me. She helps others. She's just a wonderful sister, a wonderful friend, love her to pieces. And but this is why I do what I do, because I want to spend as much time with these people as I possibly can. And I don't want to spend the rest of my life always clocking in and clocking out. I want to enjoy my life. I want to enjoy the time that I have here left on this earth with those that I love around me. They give me light. I want to give them light and share them, you know, share my experiences in life with them, of course. So So let's just dive right in. These are strategies to growing your money. Traditional savings with the bank. Then you'll have what we call high yield savings accounts. That's like your money market accounts, your CDs. You'll have investments with different brokerage accounts or brokerage companies. We'll tap into that, of course. Then you have cash value accounts. Your fixed, variable, and index. Fixed is a fixed rate, of course. Variable being those that you have control over as an individual or a expert when it comes to the stock market. And index are more like a in between where you have a cap, you have a floor, but you'll never lose and you can potentially gain more from a fixed. Investments in a REIT, which is a real estate investment trust, which is real estate in general. And then also another strategy to growing your money is just basically becoming a small business owner. All right, let's talk about the banking system for a minute. A lot of people will instantly say that they're saving their money in the bank, and they really think that doing so helps them grow their money, but it does not. The banking system is not designed for that particularly. It is more of a place for storing your money. If you ever take the time to look at your savings account, particularly, look at what your annual interest rate is. It's 9 times out of 10, I can almost bet my money on it's going to be about 0.01%. Now, if you're using the banking system for products like a CD or a money market account, they do produce a higher yield and interest, anywhere from 4 to 5%, I've seen. And these are some more of the better products, I would say. But if you're just doing a traditional savings, then you're really not getting any savings or growth. You're just storing your money there. So get into the habit of just understanding how banks work and knowing that you're not utilizing the banks for money growth, but to basically build a relationship. And in doing so, when you put your money into their accounts, into their what they call products, checking accounts, saving accounts, CDs, money market accounts, those are products. But when you put your money into that, you're building a relationship with them. And this opens up doors for you to have loans and whether it's a mortgage or auto loan, lines of credit, whether it's for personal or business. So that's pretty much how the banking system works. Not to mention, which is not in writing on my slide here, but just a little uh, something to think about, is your money collectively with other patrons. The banking system will use your money to put it into what they call a sweep account every quarter of the year. That helps the bank itself get more money from those that have put money into their banking system. But then that's where your interest rate comes from. So your interest comes from the amount of money they receive from that sweep account. And what a sweep account is basically an account that they use to push into the stock market and then get the return from that investment, and then disperse the money back out to their patrons, and you get it out of a percentage. So, anywho, that's how the banking system uses your money so they can keep functioning, and then they return you with the reward of a 0.01% interest rate, or 4 to 5% interest rate, depending on where your money is stored in their banking system. So, just a little food for thought. Not to mention the fees that you get. I don't want to forget that. How they charge you money. Some banks, anyway, will charge you a fee just to have money in their account. So, if you're not using one of the higher yielding interest products and just a traditional 0.01% savings account, and then on top of that, you're getting a fee. Well, are you really storing your money, or are you losing your money at this point? Something to think about. All right, so brokerage accounts, you can kind of dip and dabble if you don't know much about brokerage accounts. Um, what a brokerage account is basically an account that is created so that you can put money into it, and that money in turn goes into investments with the stock market. A lot of people might want to do this on their own, so there are platforms like what I have here, number 5, SoFi, where if you're unfamiliar with how it works, they give you a little practice environment where they give you fake money, and they give you pointers and education on how to invest, and you can use that fake money to see how well you do on your first go around. Then do that but until you get comfortable, and then when you feel comfortable, you can actually open up an account with them. And in doing so, when you open up that account, then you start investing into an actual stock or bond. Um, but I like SoFi for beginners. If you, like I said, if you're not familiar with, I like it for beginners because it really does help you learn and grow in that area. Now, if you don't want to do it yourself, then you can always go to an actual brokerage company like Fidelity, Charles Schwab, Vanguard, JP Morgan. Fidelity is actually one of the most popular, best companies according to Nerd Wallet for various reasons. I personally use Fidelity. I love their products. Um, and their customer service is great. Actually, very, very good. I did put a little quote here because I love quotes, so you'll probably see it throughout this presentation. But it kind of makes you think about how you are, living your life. And in this particular quote, it says that the man who never has money enough to pay his debts has too much of something else. That's something to really consider. If you don't have enough money to pay your debts, then you have too much money of something else. Too much of something else. And as I mentioned before, Fidelity was considered one of the best brokerage companies to work with, according to NerdWallet. This is a list of some of the reasons why. They have zero fees when it comes to their trading for online trades, U.S. stocks and ETFs. They have zero account minimums, commission-free stock options, and ETF online U.S. trades. They have a large selection of research providers, very strong customer service, and I can vouch for that for sure. Expense ratio free index funds, highly rated mobile apps, which the mobile app is so easy to navigate. High interest rate on uninvested cash, and great for investors who already have a 401k through Fidelity. They may want to do an annuity, roll over their 401k into an annuity. Another quote by Dave Ramsey, and I do like Dave Ramsey. If you don't know who Dave Ramsey is, I strongly suggest you go and look into him, look at his videos, his podcast. Now, I will admit, not everything I agree with. I don't agree with everything that he says, but I do like a lot of what he says. And what he says here is earning a lot of money is not the key to prosperity, but how you handle it is. Very, very true statement. Compound interest is the eighth wonder of the world. He who understands it earns it. He who doesn't pays it. That was by Albert Einstein. We're getting ready to dive into understanding the rule of 72 compound interest. The funny thing about this is that a lot of people have given Albert Einstein credit for coming up with this mathematical formula called the rule of 72. In actuality, it was something that was created by someone long before him. So I don't quite remember who it was when I researched it, but I did find that to be an interesting fact. So what is the rule of 72? Well, it is a formula. It's simplified here for you where you take the number of years that it takes for your principal, which is the amount that you invest, to double. So in this equation, T is the number of years that it takes for the principal to double. R is your interest rate, the annual rate of return that you might see in the example here, 6%. If you have a percentage, you just use the whole number. So we're going to look at how this works in the example. And I know you wonder, why did they use 72? Well, the person who came up with this equation wanted to know how long it would take for their money to double in specifically 72 years. So 72 has always been the golden number here. If you invest money at an annual interest rate of 8%, again, that percentage becomes a whole number in this equation. So you'll see where 8 is only 8, not a percentage. And it's not taken over into a percentage number like 0.08, none like that. Anyway, you can find the doubling time by dividing 72 by 8. So here time is equal to 72 divided by 8, and you will see the answer is 9 years. So an interest rate of 8%, your money, if never adding another cent to it, will double in 9 years. So let's look at this from an example where I have three different banks. I have Bank A, Bank B, and Bank C offering three different types of interest rates. If you were to take the same equation of 72 and divide it by that interest rate, you get what the number would be for the years that it would take for your money to double. And in this case, we see that if I invested 500 as my principal into Bank C, it will give me the shortest amount of years for that money to double, which is 7.5 years. This is how you want to utilize the rule of 72 when it comes to compound interest and trying to determine where to put your money. You don't want to just put it anywhere. You want to do the math. You want to do the homework. You want to say, well, the higher the interest rate, obviously, the less in years it would take for my money to double. So in knowing that, where would you save your money to get the best growth in income in compound interest? So let's talk about the money market savings versus the cash value accounts. On both of these screenshots, I don't want to too much focus on, especially with the one on the right, which is the cash value account. I don't want to focus too much on those numbers. That's something we can talk about another day. I really want to just focus on the interest rate from each one. For the screenshot on the left, that's representing a classic money market account with an interest rate of 1.82%. Whereas on the right hand side, you have a cash value account that has an interest rate of 5.95%. I will say this is a lower end of a cash value account. I have seen them at 9 to 11%. But for the sake of an example, using the rule of 72, let's figure out how long it takes for each of these accounts to double. On the money market account, it's going to take, with a primary deposit of $5,000 in a year, that's going to earn $90.75. But with that interest rate, it's going to take it 39 years for that account to double. Whereas on the right hand side of the screen where you have the cash value account, and that interest rate of 5.95%, it's going to take 12 years for that primary deposit or primary principal to double. So when you're thinking about how you want to grow your money, again, those are some important tools to consider is that rule of 72, looking at that interest rate. If you don't find a way to make money while you sleep, you will work until you die. That is a quote by Warren Buffett. Let's talk about being a business owner. This is another way or strategy to growing your money. Becoming a business owner offers you tax advantages that will definitely benefit you down the line, because these tax advantages reduce your taxable income, gives you tax credits, the tax deductions. I mean, it just keeps going. Ultimately, when it comes to being a business owner, on paper, you as yourself, you don't want to own, you don't want to look like you have a lot of money on paper. Okay? You want your businesses though to look like they have a lot of income coming in, but you yourself, um, you don't want to have a lot of money, because the goal in corporate America is that you are, as an individual, you are supporting the economy, and doing that, you have to be a business owner. That's just the bottom line. The way corporate America works is if you're not a business owner, you're not giving into the economy, you're taking away from the economy. So, what is a DBA and what is an LLC? Well, a DBA is doing business as such and such. An LLC is a limited liability corporation. They are both entities for small business owners. One of them, the LLC, will have an EIN, which is a kind of like a social security number for your business that you get from the IRS. Don't let businesses make you think you have to spend a lot of money to get an EIN for your business or your LLC. You do not. You can go to the IRS website, irs.gov, apply for an EIN. It is free, and you can do one a day, okay, or every 24 hours. Now, a DBA, or doing business as, you are not registered with the state. You do not have an EIN. You're just doing business as a different entity. So if I said I'm doing business as Rose Gold Signatures, I am just doing business as Rose Gold Signatures. I won't put LLC afterwards, right? And that is okay. So, when I filed my taxes though as a DBA, it will be under my personal social security number. So the disadvantage of that, having a DBA, basically is that if something was to happen and somebody wanted to sue me for the business that I conducted, they can sue me and all my assets, because it's all under my social security number. But as an LLC, they can sue the LLC. If you have a good lawyer, you can try to go after the individual that owns the LLC. But if you're wise in how you set up your LLC, you will set it up under a trust would be revocable or irrevocable nonetheless. It will be set up under a trust, and then when that happens, even if someone tries to go after the person that owns the LLC, they will have to go through the trust, and that's like an ironclad. So it's really hard for lawyers to be able to break into that safe, if you know what I mean. So there are some safety measures that come behind an LLC that will protect you and your assets. So let's just say I have a house that I'm renting out, and my tenant somehow slipped and fell and broke their hip. If I am working under my DBA, they could sue me. And if I have my personal home that I live in, they can go after my home. It's an asset. They can look at the value of that asset. If I have cars, they can look at the value of my cars. And then that lawyer can just decide that based on all my assets and how much those assets are worth, I owe this client of his or hers XY amount of money. Um, but if I operated my rental under an LLC, and which means that the LLC owns that property, and that LLC is owned by my trust, then when the lawyer wants to sue me on behalf of their client, they can only sue the LLC. And if the LLC only has the house under it and no other assets, then they can only go after whatever that asset is worth. So they can't go after my personal house. They can't go after my bank accounts. They can't go after my personal cars. And if they dig deeper into the trust to see that it's owned by a trust, that is an ironclad. They can't go after the trust because usually the trust doesn't have anything else under it aside from different LLCs that did not own that property, therefore is not responsible for what goes on with that property. So that is that. You get the safeguardness of that. Every financial decision should be driven by what you value. That's David Bach. Let's talk about investments. Where and how to invest your money so that it can continue to grow. One of the first things I want to talk about when it comes to investing money, obviously there are different ways, but real estate, is a big one, and it's a sure thing. I did not put land on here, but let's just make sure it's understood that land is also on the table, okay? But in this particular set of investments here, I got what's called, the first one is called a REIT, REIT. And what that is a real estate investment trust. These are companies that purchase multifamily homes like apartments and duplex, triplex, quadruplex, whatever. Um, they find these multifamily homes, and most of these are apartments, by the way. They renovate them, they rent them out to the community. These are million dollar, multi-million dollar projects that require a lot of money to invest in order to get it up and going, and it requires investors. So they open to the public the opportunity to invest in their project. And if you were to invest, there's no minimum. A lot of these companies don't require a heavy minimum. Might be like $100 just to get in. But whatever you invest, you get a dividend return every quarter of the year of your investment. And then at the end of the year, they offer you another opportunity to reinvest. These companies typically set out on doing these projects multiple times. So you will never just like really invest in one project. It will be opportunities for more projects. They also work outside of different states. So they may have something going on in South Carolina, North Carolina, Georgia, then all the way over in California and Texas, then up there in New Jersey or New York, Michigan, Ohio, all over. So um, that's kind of how they work. But this is for people who don't want to really have their hands tied into real estate. They just want to be an investor, a silent investor, and you just collect your money every quarter. That's a RIT. A company that I've looked into is, they're called Roots, ROOTS. So if you find this to be an investment that's calling at you, Roots is one of the companies, or just type in Google search for RITs, Real Estate Investment Trust, that's available. Another way to invest your money is do what they call the BRRR, BRRR. And what that is you're basically investing your money into your own real estate project, a single home or multi-family home, whatever the case may be. It could be a single family home dwelling or a duplex or a triplex or whatever. But you buy it, um, at a discounted price. If it's like a foreclosure or a HUD home or whatever, and you're not required to live in it, but you can buy it, you can renovate it. It's best to get something that's older so it has equity built into it. So, in case you don't know what equity is, it is a difference between what you bought into the house, your principal, and what the house is worth after you renovate it. You bring the value up, the market price or the projected going price in that area. So, let's say you purchased it um, for let's say $50,000. Okay, you renovated, now you brought it up to its market value in the area, and that was worth 200,000. So the equity in that house is now 150,000. A lot of times when the banks see that you're what you're doing, they're easy to work with when it comes to getting loans. Just FYI. But you would buy it, renovate it, and then once you've done that, you rent it out. Okay, and if you don't want to rent it, you sell it. And then you repeat the process. You get the equity from the house to renovate it, and then you rent it or you flip it or sell it, and then you do it again. So if you were to buy a house again, 50,000, and you went to the bank and you said, I'm doing all these renovations, it's going to bring it up to a $200,000 valued home. I want to get the equity off of it. They give you 150,000 off of it. You take the 150,000, or you don't even need the whole 100. You do a line of credit, right? You do a line of credit for your renovations, and you end up using maybe another 50,000. So you pretty much invested 100,000 into this house. Now you sell it, and again, you said it was going to be worth 200,000, but you were able to sell it for 225,000. So you've made a profit of 125,000, and you've sold it for the 225 and made a profit of 125. Now you go and you do it again. You take that 125, you put it into the account of that bank that you're working with, and they can see that you're building a relationship with them. So now the process gets easier and easier every time. So I'm just kind of putting it out there how you could work this system. And I've already mentioned how you can flip a house. You renovate it. Flip it means to sell it back to the community once you've brought it up to market value and you get your money, your return off of it. And at the bottom here, you got DSCR loans. What a DSCR loan is an investor's loan. They require that you do not live in the house. You're not using the loan to renovate the house or flip the house, um, and then live in it yourself. You're literally using the loan to renovate it, to rent it out to someone else, or you're renovating it to sell it to the community. So a DSCR loan, you'll find them all over the states, all over the country. Um, they all have different requirements and obligations, but they are investment loans. Really good to use. A NACA loan is for you wanting to get a house and live in the house as a primary resident. You could do that with a triplex or a duplex as long as you live in one of the units, and then you can rent out the other two. These are more difficult, and they're targeted to low income to middle income um, patrons, I would say, or the community with a low to middle income um, financial standing. But once you get past all the fine print and the red tape, you find yourself in a home that you own. And if you've done your due diligence, you purchase a multifamily home with it, living in one unit and renting out the others so that one can pay for, or the two can pay off that loan and maybe even give you a little bit of pocket money in return. So let's go a little bit into these tax advantages. I was touching on that a little bit when I spoke about the cash value accounts. I emphasized on borrowing the money, and the reason I did that is because when you borrow the money is tax free. But if you withdraw the money from that cash value account, you're telling them that you have no intentions on returning it, hence why it's not called borrowing, and therefore it becomes taxable income. So you get taxed on it. Okay. So people who have cash value accounts, they do not withdraw their money, they borrow their money from it. When you borrow the money, you don't have to have your credit score ran. You don't have to fill out any paperwork and ask them to give you the money as a loan. The money is yours. You pretty much go into the system, say you're going to borrow this amount of money, and it gets deposited into your account. This is just as easy as that. There is a recommendation, not a requirement, but a recommendation that when you do borrow your own money from your account, that you pay yourself back. You want to pay yourself back because you want your money to continue to grow. However, it's not required. So, in the event that you do not ever pay that money back, it will keep you from, um, let's say you wanted to do an upgrade on your policy. Well, if you have a loan that's in there that's outstanding, that will kind of cause some hesitations to how you are able to upgrade your life insurance policy. Also, if you were to pass away, well, whatever the money was that you borrowed, that is going to be deducted from your death benefit, and your family will in turn receive the difference of that death benefit and that borrowed money. I know you're wondering why. Well, the reason is because your money, your cash value account was leveraged when you borrowed it, meaning that the insurance company did not give you your money, they actually gave you their money and left your money in your account so it can continue to grow off that compound interest. So if you never pay it back, you're not paying the life insurance company back theoretically. They're just going to take the money out of what was leveraged from your death benefit. So that's kind of how that works. And don't see that as a negative thing, because it's not. It's really a positive thing. Your money is still in your account. Your money is still growing at the exact same rate as if you never took money from it. So when you do pay yourself back, or in essence, you show your good standing with the life insurance company, you're only giving yourself more to leverage down the line, and you're only doing yourself, justice. So that's the cash value account. The health savings account, the HSA, those are also tax free. They take that money out of your income before they do taxable income. So before they put taxes on your income, that money is removed. So it reduces your taxable income. If you don't use it for the year, it gets rolled over into the next year and into the next year, and it continues. If you're getting an HSA account through your employer and you leave that employer, your HSA is still out there. It goes in what is called an HSA bank. And you can take that money and leave it there, go to another employer, get an HSA with that employer, and if you leave that employer, that money goes into the HSA bank and it gets dumped right on in there. Okay? You can even roll over your HSA bank or your account, your health savings account, from an old employer into a new employer. The only thing is that you won't be getting like any type of dividends or any interest off of the money from the old employer, just from what the current employer is giving you. So that's the only thing there too. But having an HSA account is a great tool and strategy to have. Some health plans offer them and some don't. I like the ones that do, because you can let that money grow and grow until the time you need it the most, when you're in your older ages, and you're elderly, a geriatric person, retired. And when you get to that age of retirement and you use your money that you let grow in that health savings account, because you will get like a little debit card or credit card, it still remains tax free. Anytime you purchase anything off that card, your medicine, your if you need a cane or a walker, if you need to even buy groceries, whatever. At that age, you can do all those things and it still will be considered tax free. it still will be considered a non-taxable event. And then you have the 529 college savings accounts or the custodial accounts. These are tax-free, tax-deferred accounts, meaning that until it's time to use that money is tax-free if you use it accordingly. So, like, say for the college savings account, the 529, as long as you're using the funds for educational purposes, it's tax-free. The custodial account, that money grows and grows and grows, and when you use it, then you get taxed on because it becomes taxable income. But until then, it's tax deferred. The money that you make every year, if you dump that money into any of these accounts, it will reduce your taxable income. So in essence, it's like a tax deduction. So that's a wonderful way of reducing your taxes every year is by dumping money into your college savings for your child or to the custodial account for your child. You know, and FYI, these people out here who are illegally filing their tax returns with children that they did not take care of, who are not their own, this is a way for them to do it the legal way. They want to get a return, then they need to reduce their taxable income by dumping money into a child's 529 or custodial account. Now, parents, if your child has a 529 college savings plan, it grows off compound interest too. And if your child, let's say, starts at the age of 0, by the time they're 17 or 18, if you are putting in at least 5,000, 10,000 a year into that college savings account, then by the time they're 18, they could well have enough to pay for 4-year college, okay, with that account. They could pay for a 4-year college with that account. Just keep that in mind. And if your children decide not to go to college with that 529, whatever money is in there, up to I think it's now 30 or 33,000 can be rolled over into a 401k. The other amount you can probably try to look into it with a tax professional or one of the like Fidelity account financial advisors and see if you can roll the other amount into what's called a custodial account or a brokerage account. Okay. The 401k and 403bs are all tax deferred. Um, the more money you put into your retirement plan, the more it will reduce your taxable income. And once you get closer to retirement, whatever that amount of money is can be rolled over into an annuity, which is something that is a product that continues to let your money grow while it sits in there. And then it disperses that money out every month when you are ready to receive it during your retirement as income. It is tax deferred. So you won't be taxed until that taxable event, which is called annuitized. Until that annuity becomes annuitized, um, you won't be taxed. Now, if you are self-employed, having a 401 is very important because you probably make a lot of money from your settlements as being a self-employed contract or contractor. So what you want to do is go back to some of my presentations where I talked about the 50-40-10 rule, where or in some cases it can also be a 50-30-20 rule, but nonetheless 50% of your money or your income goes towards your necessities. 40% or 30% goes towards savings. Then the 10% or the 20% goes towards your wants. So that savings of either 40% or 30% could be your 401k. Okay? You, as a self-employed person, you could take 40% or 30% of your income, dump it into your 401k, and that will reduce your income by 30 or 40%. Okay, so that changes your tax bracket, and therefore, when you do your itemizations, you may end up getting a better return, break out even. Either way, you end up having more money in your pocket. that concludes our session on how to grow your money. I again am Leah Everly. I own and am owner of Rose Gold Signatures LLC. With my business, I am not only a notary, but I'm also a life insurance agent. I am able to help people with their business formations. If you're interested in starting a small business, then let me know and we can go through the steps. I would help guide you. I can help support you and show you all the ways to getting it started. My sister, she owns her own tax services. She is my affiliated business partner. We can get you that professional tax services that you need in the event that you are a business owner or you just in general need someone to help you make sure you're getting the most out of your tax return. If you are interested in any type of estate planning, that includes having a trust, a will and testament, advanced directive, power of attorney, preparing your family with all of your information upon your death, making sure everything is in order from beginning to end. That is your estate planning process. If you need that done, let me know. I provide that service as well. Not only will I prepare all your documents for you using a legal document format that's been written and approved by lawyers, but I will also notarize those documents for you. And then we can package them up nice and neatly, organized well, with all the essential tools and things that you would need for it to make things easy for you and your family. And of course, as a life insurance agent, I am able to make sure your family is secure financially and that you're able to get what you need out of your life insurance. Now, you may already have life insurance, and that's fine. I also help review life insurance policies. So if you have a life insurance policy, you want it to be reviewed. You want to make sure you're getting the most out of it, that you get what you need. Maybe you have a whole life policy and you want to understand how a cash value account works to see, if you're able to borrow money from it. Just to see if you're getting a great return on your policy, if you're not losing from your policy. Whatever the case may be, I can sit down and we can go over that and review it together. Or if you need an insurance policy, I am able to help you with that as well. I do have a license and I'm contracted with various carriers. So I am able to give you anything from a term policy, a whole life policy, index universal, um, as well as if you have children, they have what they call juvenile life insurance policies. If you have a senior or geriatric family member, we have final expenses in case they don't have anything. We also have guaranteed issues where we bypass a lot of medical questions and exams, and it makes it very simple for you. So you get a response of approval that same day without having to go through the whole medical backgrounds. And also, I offer people organic debt resolutions. If you find yourself in a situation and you need help getting out of debt, you and I will sit down together and create a plan where we go organically resolve that for you. If you've seen my other videos on getting out of debt and staying out of debt, you will see exactly what I mean. And then I will provide you with a worksheet and a plan to help you systematically and organically get out of debt without having to spend more money in doing so. So if you're interested in any of my services, you have my contact information here. My number here is 839 246 4986. My email or my website, you can find me at www.rosegoldsignatures.com. And if ever I have to meet you in an office space, my office address here is 9600 Two Notch Road, Suite 202, Room 5, and that is in Columbia, South Carolina. I look forward to meeting and talking with any of you that have been able to watch this video. Please let me know if you have any questions, and I will be glad to sit down and talk with you over the phone or in person. You have a great day.